Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of the Ben Kuah Show. Today we will be tackling the issue of what it means for a people who are in a state of revolution, as I believe the people of Ambazonia are. There is this adage, fool me once, shame on you. Twice, shame on me. The recent events that have been going on in the past few weeks to a month has demonstrated a level of naivety in our struggle that is frightening, absolutely frightening. The kickoff of this event, of this recent event that got my attention, was handled well, because it seems as if our people went into it with their eyes open. I am talking about the event in Atlanta, where the Federalists organized a conference championed by Dr. Munzo, and the Ambazonian people were ably represented by individuals who were on top of the facts, who were in a state of agitation, not settling, who were absolutely clear about where where our people stand. After that, an event that was organized and it went viral within our people and our land, and built this false hope that has always bedeviled our people about a quote-unquote Senate hearing on the issue of the Southern Cameroons. Folks, when an event is organized in the name of our people and we blindly follow, and we go there and are used as props in order to sell an agenda contrary to the wishes of our people, that is not the fault of those who want to use us and at the suffering of our people. That is the fault of all of those who allow themselves to be used as props. Us, folks, us, the Ambazonians. Do we actually take steps and not just follow blindly? Are we building a society that is a society that questions stuff and are able to question things and make it better? Or are we building a society of sheepgoats, people who just follow the crowd and the noise to their death? Remember, a 36-year-old Malam, 36-year-old, uneducated, 36-year-old, teleguided by the French, Amadou Ahidjo, ran circles around the people and the representatives of Ambazonia. People who had stood election, who had gone down the reach of Ambazonia from one end to the other, campaigning, answering questions from the masses, and being selected as representatives of those people, were ransacked by an appointed colonial foremaster, a 36-year-old Ahidjo. And today we are repeating the sins of our fathers. How is it possible that somebody with the name, just the name, Sylvie Bello, Does that name, doesn't it just ring alarm bells? Shouldn't it just ring? It should be like clanking in the head of every Ambazonia when you hear a name like that organizing something for Ambazonia. Sylvie Bello. It should, really? That should be questioning. That is the type of attitude with the people who are in revolution. That you don't let anything to chance. But they went into a Senate panel. Something that anybody could have gone in there, follow the rules of the Senate and in the Senate building and get a room in that Senate building and put on something there. And then you go out and you sell it as this great achievement, as this shining object. And as dumb as we are, we just rush there in our numbers and are used as props. With somebody in the panel sitting and saying how she is SCNC. And SCNC stands for Federation. They are federalists. And you had representatives of that SCNC sitting in that room. Sitting there. Listening how an organization, a great organization of our people, is being subverted to serve a purpose that harms our people. I am not even going to touch the issue of the delegation of La Republique. You know what? These guys, La République du Cameroon, send a team, what you call dry cleaners. People who go and wash the stain of blood from the cloth and try to make it white again. They send a team of dry cleaners to go around. And this team came to DC, and those very people who walk like sheep goats into that Senate walk again like sheep goats with their coat and their tie, and they go and sit down in front of these murderers. How could a representative of La République du Cameroon, not in La République du Cameroon, visit the diaspora and is able to sit comfortably on a table, and across from them are citizens of Ambazonia sitting in a chair and watching them as if they are in a Njangi house, a convivial atmosphere. These are killers, folks. Murderers sitting on the table, facing the people that they are killing and murdered. And the sheepgoats are sitting with their coats and talking as if they are in a death celebration, folks. Do we really understand the magnitude of what these people are doing to us? We have videos here of these people. They control our streets and our town. They get meetings and they move the meetings from downtown Bamenda, you know, them upstation hill. They take it to the heart of upstation in the governor's office. Across from that office is a mobile wing and police station. On the left side is the gendarmerie brigade for the whole of the northern region of southern Cameroon. On the left side, across Fort, is the military base. And thousands of our people, hundreds of our people, just a little message from a phone in the governor's office that they might be holding these people hostage. Station was flooded. No matter the gendarmes or the armies or the police or the difficulty Just one road going up there. They still flooded that area, agitating, ready for death. And you have these dumb asses sitting in DC across these people. You know, when you talk about a people moving in synergy, is that you are able to empathize. You are able to sit and you understand. You put yourself in the shoes of the other person. When you do that, when your aim and your goal in the struggle is not self-aggrandizement, self-promotion, promotion of your own political base that you stand on. When your aim is anything other than that shining object, the liberation of the people of Ambazonia, then you do the blundering mistakes that these guys did in DC this past week. Because if your heart doesn't beat with that pounding blood of our people that are dead, with their cries and the mourning of their mothers and their fathers and their children and generations of our people who are suffering and in Kondengi, if your heart doesn't beat with that passion, you will go and sit and you are asking questions to these murderers, as I saw exhibited over there with these guys. There is a list here of hundreds of our people right now in Kondengi. I can read you since December the number of deaths that from Akum Julius, Ndok Clement, Divine Samela, Divine Bonkeven, Desmond Fosu, Awa Romeo, Tewang Walters. These are people that have just been murdered in the recent month, and you have these dry cleaners who are coming to wash their blood. You just allow them to sit comfortably in their seat, and it's like you are talking to peers, or not even peers, you are talking to... Thank God for the block by block movement in Belgium. Thank God for the Secretary General of the Ambazonian Governing Council, Prince Ayamba. Thank God for the people in Belgium who finally stood up and showed what a passionate Southern Cameroonian, a passionate Ambazonian, somebody whose the blood and the cries of our people is beating in their heart. Thank God that they finally showed the world that the people in our land who are suffering and are going under the situation that they are undergoing, and they are showing the passion and getting their kids not in school. Finally, we had Ambazonians in the diaspora who showed the same character as those people in the streets of the Southern Cameroons who are showing it day in, day out, and those in jail. You know, to talk about these events, I have here in studio Mr. Martin Ayaba, a councillor of the Ambazonian Governing Council, a newsman who have been a newsman for most of his life. Mr. Martin, welcome to the set of the Ben Kuah Show. Please, I just gave a little introduction on your news background. I want you to tell my audience a little bit about your work that you have done in Cameroon on news and providing information and some of this type of analysis to our people.
Thank you, Mr. Ben Kuah, for inviting me on your show, and I want to use this opportunity to commend you and your team for the wonderful work that you are doing to sensitize the great people of Ambazonia.
It's all due to my producer, Mr.
Absolutely. You are doing a fantastic job to sensitize our people about the need for them to take their destiny into their hands. And I couldn't be more proud today to see how people have reawakened and they are taking things in their hands with the block by block approach. And I'm very, very happy to talk about that with you.
Thank you.
Coming back to myself, I consider myself a journalist. I've been for the better part of 15 years plus. I work in many newspapers, Cameroon Post newspaper with Padimbawa for over 6 years. I was a reporter, came to become the bureau chief. I worked for the Herald newspaper with Dr. Boniface Forbin, may his soul rest in peace. And I later on formed my own newspaper with a group of friends called Business and Politics. That we used it to articulate the plight of how our people are feeling, the people of the Southern Cameroons, Ambazonia. So I currently live in the United States now, but what is happening in that country, the Southern Cameroons, is something that can leave nobody indifferent. The human rights abuses, the economic plundering, and the complete abuse of power that is going on, that has put the people of Ambazonia on the edge. And I think if there is one lesson that this recent uprising has indicated, is the fact that we are not going back to that past. We have turned the page of an era. We have been slaves for forever. And this time around, as we all know, the people have said enough is enough. There is so much that you can push the people to the wall. But be careful what you do, because when people get up to fight back, then you have a lot of problems in your hands. So I think that is the stage at which we are today. And we are not going to accept colonial rule any longer. We have been treated as slaves, prisoners. And I want to underline the fact that every Southern Cameroonian, every Ambazonian is in a prison. Some of us might be out of the country, but we carry the burden of the suffering that our people are facing. Oh yes, I have an 11-year-old girl. She's the pride of my life. She's just went into Form 1 in Ambazonia. But I'm happy to say that she should stay at home, because it is not somebody else's fight. It is my fight for myself and for my children and my grandchildren. So well, I am very happy about the dynamics that the struggle has taken.
So we are looking at this situation that I brought out in my editorial when I opened the show. You talk about this great desire that we are not going back, and you see the mistakes as I view it. I don't know how you view it, and maybe you as a newsman, you have more information about what really transpired this week at that Senate hearing. If you can just give a few headlines on what it was, the organization of it, what went on in that hall, and how passive and naive our people were, until I think one person stood up and actually just crush it, and thank God for that in that hall. So please, can you elaborate a little bit on that issue?
Yes, Mr. Ben. One of the advantages that some of us bring to this struggle is the historical part. And I just want to use this opportunity to say that I understand the frustration of people who see these kind of inconsistency as like outrageous. But what I want to reassure you is that there is historical precedence as concerns these betrayals that we see. When they first started multi-party politics in Cameroon in the early 1990s, the government created a lot of parasite parties that were infiltrated into the ranks and file of the genuine opposition parties that wanted genuine reforms and change. And what came out of that infiltration was that there were a lot of sellouts, because some of these satellite parties ended up working for the person who is perpetrating all this malgovernance. I'm talking about the regime in power. So coming back to today with this Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia struggle, we all know what our people want. But their clamor for independence is being held back by some of us and people who want to use the suffering of our people to self-aggrandize, to make quick money for themselves, for their own parochial interests. And so you have people, and I cannot believe that somebody like Dr. Simon Munzu, who was one of the champions of the All Anglophone Conference of April 1993, throughout the better part of the mid-1990s, should come out at this time to hold a conference to say that the people want federation. If he doesn't have anything to say, I think the better thing would be for him to stay quiet than to come and put a hole in the sails of our wings, the people of the Ambazonia.
But there is this argument that, you know, we are building a society in which there is a respect of the opinion of one of everybody, that their opinions have equal weight. So wouldn't Munzu be part of that sort of excuse, or part of that sort of idea?
Well, I believe in an open society, an open process, and the basic democratic principles, and therefore people have the right to express themselves. But the position of Dr. Simon Munzu is troubling, because he would have better stayed quiet, not to take this position, because things have moved on since from when they started the AAC, which was the All Anglophone Conference that called during the tripartite conference called for a federal constitution. Things are not the same. So if you want to take it from the context of the AAC and the tripartite conference, I say he completely missed the point, because the reawakening that our people have recently taken up is something that you cannot equate that with the early 1990s. So today the game has changed. Everybody, unfortunately we don't have scientific polls that can explain exactly where our people are.
But the Federalists,
yes,
the Federalists and some Ambazonians believe in the equal right of people to speak and militate on where they stand. They believe in that, and they will argue that Mr. Munzu and his ilks, those sponsored by La République du Cameroon, because let's be frank, let's be very frank. I say that sometimes we play dumb and we play naive. Sometimes we are actually dumb and naive, because it would be actually dumb and naive to believe that the recent events that have been occurring are just one-off. Mr. Munzu will come and say that, oh, this is my opinion. It is not been sponsored. It is not an opinion bought with loot from this Ambazonia. That France and La République is not recycling some of the loot that they loot from our people back to them to sponsor this opinion. People actually say that, no, this is just my opinion. But when you look at the sequence, you look at the Munzu, the Federalists in Atlanta, you look at suddenly the Federalists within the Senate, then you look at the Laurent Essos, the delegation of dry cleaners sent out to move. You see a trait that only a naive and dumb person would think, that these are just individuals militating out of the good of their, or the solidity of their opinions.
Absolutely, absolutely. You make a very strong case.
So why would some of our people be arguing that these people have an equal share of the public space?
I completely disagree with that opinion, because, and to be honest with you, it's a very small portion of our people who are, you can count them. You count the Monzu crowd, there are not many people. I mean, even the people whom we initially thought were like bystanders in this struggle, they have long come on board. I was following word. And I am of the opinion that sooner than later, all these people will be en masse, because they don't know the amount of anger that our people are enraged with. So I would not really focus on them. Coming back to the issue of the Senate, Mrs. Sylvie Bello, and I've known her for a couple of years. When I was doing my master's degree, she runs a non-profit organization called Cameroon American Council. And to be honest with you, she does a lot of small work for the African community. But one of the areas that she has shown a lot she has shown a lot of vulnerability, his ability to be opportunistic. I say this knowing the person, because I don't know her agenda. And about the meeting in the Senate, she sent me an invitation, which I'd honored, thinking that it would be an open process where the alleged senators from Maryland and the other one were going to be present. But it was a disappointment to me when I went to that event, and this also was the same view from a majority of the people whom I know who were there, who felt really slanted and disappointed by what they considered as a deceptive event.
And that is how it was sold to our people, right?
It was
a massive deception.
Yes.
That was sold to our people,
yes,
as a step forward in the struggle.
Yes, and the main reason why people were very felt deceived by what she organized was the panelists. The people who came there were mostly francophones, and the few who were there were talking about federalism. And I want to emphasize the fact that talking about federalism at this moment in time, in this struggle for the liberation of our land, because that is what it's all about, it is like, I can't explain it, because people have moved on from that position, which is well documented, how the struggle started. It's not like today that the struggle started. So people felt slanted, and there was a silver lining in that event when one Mrs. Mbangi took the floor to ask a question and ask the audience to show with the hand those who want independence, and virtually everybody, and I'm talking about close to 100 people who were in that audience, carried their hand up.
So you are telling me, which is something critical, that they deceived our people, took them into a hall where the panel has been stacked with francophones and federalists, and these francophones and federalists are pounding on their message of federation and one Cameroon, and it's only the opportunity that we, or an Ambazonian had for an Ambazonian, quote unquote, Ambazonian event. The opportunity an Ambazonian had was to put his hand and also play deception that she wants to ask a question, and they grant her the floor, and then she turned and said, in this hall, those who stand for independence show a hand up. So he just that is the opportunity that she had. That is how we were used.
Exactly. And I just want to say that it was really frustrating for a lot of people. But I want you to also look at it from the point of view that most people, they go to these places in good faith, thinking that maybe, in fact, if you look at it carefully, you should say that people are really hungry for something. That's why they follow anywhere they think something good can happen.
My brother.
But people have used this hunger for independence for their private gain, and that's why we condemn with the strongest term those opportunists who are trying to
my
use
brother,
this for their parochial interests.
No, absolutely, I understand you. I understand you. The biggest trouble that I have with that, my biggest trouble is the fact that there is a history. You understand what I'm saying, my brother? There is a history in this stuff. We have a history. If we did not have a history, then we can have a margin of error. You understand? A margin of error will be this big. There are some times you have just one opportunity to impress someone. Once you lose that opportunity, it's gone forever. Think about this. If with everything that had been going on, the suffering, how these senators, the amount of images they have seen of our people being forced, girls rolled in sewage, and all those images of people assassinated in the streets. If those senators had really used that this is an opportunity for them in order to judge for themselves the outreach, the sophisticated arguments put forward, the temperature of the Ambazonian people, and they come in there and they sit and they see us fill the hall, and they see and they hear this type of we lose them, right? We lost them totally. It does enormous damage to the struggle. So we cannot just say our enthusiasm, our wishes, you know, our the hunger, as you put it. We cannot hide when we make such massive mistakes that damages the struggle. Because it's not only those who went to that event. It's the blogs and the WhatsApp groups who forwarded this stuff and talk about this stuff almost like the second coming of the UN vote for South Ambazonian independence. Is that, and it is not just a matter of this was happening in Antarctica or Alaska. It was happening in DC, where you have representing almost all the major groups in that are saying they are fighting for the independence of Ambazonia are located. If it's Alaska, I can say, okay, it's Alaska. Who of our people is in Alaska or Antarctica? This is in DC.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's in DC where the power base of the country is, where everybody who is around looks at things from the prism that this thing is happening in DC matters. But what I want to say categorically is that if this is bad, we as a people must be ready as time goes on to see more of this, because these same people will come in different forms to manipulate, to display all kinds of things just to gain favors.
So what have we learned from that? So we have the point is that if such an event is being sold to our people, what are the steps that our people need to do to expose that this is a design by La République du Cameroon to hijack a legitimate Southern Cameroon event and turn it against the people of Southern Cameroon?
You are absolutely right. There is a hidden hand behind all what is going on. Whatever is going on in DC or the territory. But one thing that I can say is a positive is the kind of pushback that we see from the meeting in Brussels, that we see from what happened in South Africa, how the block by block approach is pushing back and giving the signal that they weren't going to settle for less. I just want to also use this to say that there are a lot of manipulation that take place before these meetings hold in DC. They will go and hold, I'm talking about like the embassy, when they organize these meetings, they will send invitations to particularly friendly people through whom they have been giving money and avoid the masses. So sometimes our people are caught flat-footed because they get up in the morning and hear that, hey, there's a meeting happening today in the embassy. And I'm sure that's what happened with the meeting that the so-called, you call them dry cleaners came. That is exactly what happened. So all was kept under wraps, and people only got up early in the morning and discovered that.
And that brings me to this great problem that I have. The balkanization that is going on in our struggle, that is an unhealthy. There are healthy balkanization and there are unhealthy balkanization. When activists differ on how to get to a point, those activists work together. Okay, when activists differ, even if they don't work together, right? Even if they don't work together, what they do is they don't stand in each other's ways. We look at Martin Luther King, we look at Malcolm X. You understand? We look at in India, the same issue with Gandhi and the guys in the north that were more going for broke. You know, what is going on and what went on in DC that I saw is that people wanted to be the only representatives so that they represent their ideology and their group, rather than and push their group so that when they look at the hall sitting with these dry cleaners from Yaoundé, La République du Cameroon, they see that, oh yes, that is that group, that people, and they are absolutely the worst representatives for our people. But they go there, they wanted to sell their group rather than our people. So they don't have that passion that an activist would have when that activist stand in such an opportunity. And we saw the difference in Belgium, and we saw the difference in South Africa.
Absolutely.
So they will stand there, and this one is standing, oh, he will not talk to a Maurice person. When they interview, he will not talk to a Maurice person because he wants to stand there and a Maurice person is not also in that hall. Instead of using that opportunity to say this is an opportunity, we need the left, we need the center, we need the right. They will stand and try to sweep everything so that when they stand there, is that group is the only group that is seen there, and they absolutely do damage to our people. Yeah. Is that a wrong analysis of the situation?
Your analysis is pertinent, Mr. Ben, and I just want to add that I'm a strong advocate and believer of in many we can find a whole. I believe in the principle that all of us, we have a common enemy, and that people can use different means to get to the common enemy as long as it's going towards the right direction. But what you have described as the balkanization of our movements is a very troubling development, and that's why I feel comfortable with the block by block approach and the AGC, which has been consistent in messaging, in their acts and in their deeds. there are a lot of problems being caused to this struggle today because of political activism, because of parochial interest, and because of outright greed that when you look at it detail, you start asking questions. Why are people acting this way? Why is this happening? You look at some organizations, and I don't want to put anybody on the hotspot here, they take actions on behalf of their people, but you look at it, you can only see deception, you can see manipulation, you can see a lot of bad faith. It doesn't augur well for the struggle, and for people who are asking the international community to come and give them a landline for survival, that does not make good. I am very happy with where I am in this struggle, and I believe that time is going to clarify the situation. That a lot of the actors that we see today, they are going to fall on the way because they will be unmasked. That's what we are talking about.
Yeah, which brings me to that point of the idea that there are really steps through which every group, once you want to sell an event, know who is behind that event, the name of the person who is promoting that event, where the parents come from, who are organizing that event. There are simple steps. This is not rocket science. I'm not talking for somebody to go to the moon. This is simple, basic stuff. A Southern Cameroonian event is being held this way. One, the question that comes, who is behind it? Who are the people behind them? Come front and center. Where are their parents? Where did they originate from? Are they Ambazonians or are they quasi-Ambazonians?
Well, I think...
do they have top men in the government of La République du Cameroon? Are their parents or their parents' or their cousins, are they holding ministerial positions or sub-ministerial positions in La République du Cameroon? Because I'm talking this thing, I can take the Bui family union that just happened. I think it's in Atlanta also, where such a deception was made. When these guys came out that they will do a flag for the community of nations, and they took the US flag, the US flag came forward, and the flag that was behind the US flag was La République du Cameroon flag. That they have kits, they have taken kits, and kits are doing that, and after that the flags of the states. And Southern Cameroonian from Bui. I am like, when you are in the diaspora and that image goes back to the parents in Bui who have kept their kids from school, they put the whole of their children for 1 year on hold for this brutal regime, and they suddenly see their people in the diaspora marching and waving La République flag in a Bui family union. How do these people think that those at home feel?
It's a very, very important point that you are raising, and I just want to go back to say that what this colonization of Ambazonia has done to us for close to 60 years today is to create tentacles within the Cameroonian construct to make us feel as if we are one, to depend on alcohol, to depend on soccer, to make us, our people have been complacent to corruption. There are bell houses over there. So you see that putting everything together, we are at a point where even our own people have to be judged not with complete confidence as being Ambazonians, but because they have other interests that are holding them back to be completely in favor of this struggle. But what I can say with certainty that if after 56 years of colonial rule or more, our people have gotten up today, the children and the grandchildren of those who first engaged in this construct are getting up today to push back and ask for their right to identity and ask for right for their sovereignty, then it makes me feel good that this is not going to end tomorrow. This struggle, and I have been around a little bit to know how it has unfolded. The stage at which we are now, we are not going back, because the people who witnessed our colonization, they are no longer here. They are the children and their grandchildren who are fighting this fight. So if they didn't even know that there was a state that we had as our own, that we had elections in our country with parliament and change of government, that we had institutions, economic institutions, all the plantations that we have, all the power cam, my first job that I got as a young boy in primary school, 12, 13 years old, was to go and pick coffee at the produce marketing board. Imagine that during holidays, third-term holiday, you go and pick coffee, they'll give you a basin of coffee, you pick the coffee, they pay you. If a 12-year-old boy then could have a job to get money during holidays, what were the adults doing? My senior brother used to go sleep at mid of the night. They will hear the ship would horn at the Bota wharf. They will get up midnight to go and load the ship. That was employment. That's what we are saying that these people have deprived us of. And we are not going to sit by and see a French system come and dictate to us what they have stolen from us and tell us that we should stay quiet. We are not going to stay quiet, sir.
On that note, Mr. Ayaba, I am very happy.
Thank you very much, and you are doing a wonderful job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. I have enjoyed my conversation with Mr. Ayaba. It is a topic that it seems as if we keep going round and round and round on that very same topic. But I just hope we become agile. I just hope we start thinking on our feet, because if we don't, the enemy is not sleeping, folks. The enemy is not sleeping. They are infiltrating everywhere. Infiltration. I just told you. So look at the public events. You look at the one in Atlanta with Dr. Munzo. You suddenly look at the one in the Senate using a private non-profit organization woman. Suddenly. Then you see the public event. Then you go into the Bui cultural group, and you suddenly see the organization of marching of the flags, to use that image. You see it and you want to go, because as I question that. And they wanted to go and start looking at who organized that. You start seeing links to the top ranks of the government in La République du Cameroon. Folks, we need to be agile. Our eyes need to be wide open now. We cannot repeat the sins of our father. Aijo and his team went to Fumban with an agenda. Foncha and his team went to Fumban with like ships, as these our people went into the Senate. Absolutely unprepared. Totally caught flat-footed. Hassan had an agenda rammed down their throats. The same as happened to Foncha. We cannot make these naive mistakes again, folks. Everybody now, I'm telling you, a few weeks I indicated, I think it was in one of the programs that I talk about the Senate, the representative from Bui. Who went back to, on the day that he went back to parliament. I think just that week I was talking about this Ambazonian who was in the University of Yaoundé and was in awe of the fact that the topic of the day became the Anglophone problem, as they put it. And I was talking about how he was in awe. I was instead talking about the fact that he should have been agitating right in there about the type of truncated history being presented, not in awe of the fact that the people came and almost were talking about the Anglophone problem. It is the same issue here, folks. Everywhere we are as Ambazonian, it should be nobody. We still live with this idea that there is a white knight that will deliver this stuff for us. It is us, folks. We are the ones to deliver ourselves, nobody else. So don't be going to that Senate and thinking that the senators will be sitting up there and they will deliver us. Because when you do that, then you get caught flat-footed. No, you are going already in there with an agenda. You don't just go there because that is all. We looked at that stuff and it's like the senators will be there. It is in the hands of the senator. No, folks. By the time you get in there, you already have an agenda to present to the Senate. This is how we are going to attack the senators if they are sitting there. This is the points that we are going to put forward. This is how you sing bass. I am going to sing. I don't even know all the decibels in a song. But that's how this one is bass. This one is alto. This one is so. That is how you plan this stuff, so that you get in there and you go into a song, and this side sings, that side sings. It's like a symphony, right? And if you had done that, you would have totally defeated this when you come there and that surprise is sprung on you. So right now we should be in a state of constant agitation. And that constant agitation means that we never go into any place expecting that it will be somebody sitting on that place that's going to deliver this stuff for us. We are the ones we have been waiting for. We are the ones we have been waiting for.